From Anshei Sphard-Beth Emeth congregation, it's time to take 10 minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Many years ago, I was in Rabbi Joseph B. Soloveitchik's class, the great privilege of being in the class. The rabbi was aging. It's hard for him to be his usual brilliant self. So sometimes we would just sit and think. And he would think and think. And that day there was a contradiction, as there always was, in the writings of Maimonides. And the question was, why does it say one thing in one place and one in the other? And everyone was flipping through the Rambam, trying to figure out what would be a good answer, an analytical answer, a sharp answer to the distinction between these two cases. And the rabbi thought and thought. But that day there was a visitor in the class, a prominent rabbi from the community, who had been his student many years ago. And he stood up and said, Rebbe, 25 years ago, Rebbe said the following. And then he went on a 10-minute discourse explaining how the Rabbi Soloveitchik had resolved this problem 25 years before. We all took copious notes. It was amazing. And then the question was, how would the rabbi today respond to his student's lecture? There was a pregnant pause, and the rabbi said, that's very nice. That's what I said 25 years ago. But what do I say today? This idea that every day we should refresh ourselves is a fundamental secret of Judaism, a fundamental principle of Judaism, that we are capable and we must constantly renew ourselves. We have to refresh our worship of God, refresh our relationship with God, refresh the mitzvot and how we understand them, and most of all, renew and refresh ourselves. Every day we have to press the restart button on our life and on our relationship with God. But there are two problems with this approach of trying to renew ourselves and refresh ourselves. Two obstacles in trying to press that restart button. Number one, we say, I can't change. I'm the same as I always was. I'm the same guy I was 25 years ago. I will be the same guy, God willing, 25 years from now. That's just the way it is. Number two, the Torah, the Holy Ark, doesn't change either. I mean, it's the same Torah, same letters. It's one of the principles of faith, that the Torah we have today is the Torah we always had. So if the Torah doesn't change and I don't change, how can I renew my Judaism? But actually, according to the great mystics, this is mistaken at two levels. You think the Torah doesn't renew itself? The mystics say that there's something called tzirufei osios, that if you look at the Torah with proper lenses, actually the letters can kind of move around. The connection of the words could be not as you think it is, but there could be some other way of reading the text itself. So that the Torah is like, it's as if we had almost a dyslexia, and when we look at it, every day we come up with new meanings. Rashbam, who was just trying to give the simple meaning of the text, says there are pshatot hamitchadshot b'chol yom, that every day he looks at it and there are new ways of looking, not at the midrashic reading, just even the simple reading. And certainly the midrashic ideas continue to grow, and new books and new writings are constantly coming out because the Torah itself seems to change every single day. And the Baal Shem Tov said that it's also untrue that we don't change. He says every day is a new creation. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev goes one step further. He says, with every breath, it's a new license on life. I mean, just picture if, God forbid, at this second, someone died. He just passed out and died. And then somehow they brought him back and resuscitated him and brought back to life. Wouldn't he feel like he had a new license on life? So if we don't pass out, chas v'shalom, and we don't perish, and we do continue breathing, isn't there an idea that we should also feel grateful and feel like, oh, I have a new license on life. I have a new moment. I can use this new moment. So if I'm not stagnant and the Torah is not stagnant, then there is opportunity for refreshing, for restarting. So what would that look like? What would it look like to reimagine our Jewish life? Well, what would it look like for a mitzvah to change and morph right in front of my eyes? Well, let's take Shabbat, for instance. Maybe when you were younger, Shabbat was something that you did because the life was so busy, so crazy, so hectic. And Shabbat was a time of quiet. Maybe you stay home a lot. Maybe just be with just your family. Try to avoid all the complicated interactions we have during the week. Or maybe later in life, you're more isolated. And then Shabbat becomes a time for socialization, a time to come to shul, be with others. So you change, and with it, Shabbat changed. Its meaning, it was pliable enough that it had different ways of being used. It's both a time of solitude, it's a time of community. It has these different multifaceted elements, and the different elements can come out depending on where I am in life. Take the laws of kosher. Maybe when you were younger, you had a kosher home because it was nice for the family. You had a sense that there's a kosher family, there's a Jewish family. We have a meat section, a milk section, the milchiks and the fleishiks. Something that you remember from the traditions in your family. And it inculcated in the family that we're different, we're a Jewish family. But maybe later in life, as you face more health issues, and you're not allowed to eat this, you're not allowed to eat that, kosher becomes part of that consciousness about what goes into our mouths and maybe even what comes out of our mouths as well. Or take prayer. Maybe at one stage of life, prayer is all about how everything's great, and prayer is all about thanksgiving. Maybe at another point, you're suffering tremendous anguish, and prayer and God Himself becomes your greatest therapist. The sitter is the greatest psychologist, allowing you every day to have a private conversation with God about your different challenges that you face. And you can do that. You can insert your own prayers relevant to your particular issues in every single prayer. So as we change our Torah and the mitzvot can change as well. The Sphard-Beth said that we need to listen to the mitzvot. Im shamoa tishmu al mitzvotai. What does it mean to listen to the mitzvot? It doesn't just mean to obey the commandments. To listen to mitzvot means we need to put our ear to the Torah and say, do I hear something different in this mitzvah today? Do I hear something different in this verse today? I had the privilege of growing up in my father's home, and when we would go to shul, every day he would say, well, look at this phrase. What does that word mean? And we'd look in the Chumash and see, what does that word really mean? And we get a whole conversation going among the different people around us in the shul to say, well, what does this mean? What does the phrase mean? Because he was always looking for new meanings in the siddur. It wasn't the same siddur every day. It was something new and something fresh. When we say in Pirkei Avot that every day a voice comes from Sinai and says, Oila Bono Shel Torah, a voice comes from Sinai. So the rabbis say, well, what do you mean a voice? Is that a new voice? So some say, no, it's the same old voice. Sinai calls out every single day. On Rosh Hashanah, we blow the shofar as if to say, Shipru Masichem, improve your deeds, and remember the voice of Sinai. Remember that sound of the shofar that you first heard at Sinai so many thousands of years ago. It's new and fresh. It's calling on you again today to respond to the voice of the Torah. And we can't be stagnant. We can't stay stagnant because other things will change all around us. If we don't grow, we will, God forbid, slide. We can't disagree more with the simple reading of the text in Ecclesiastes that ein chadash tachat hashemes, in Kohelet, that there's nothing new under the sun. The rabbis say, no, that's under the sun, but above the sun, in our relationship with God, there's lots of new stuff every day, every breath. So if we have this Jewish call to renew ourselves every day, if Rabbi Soloveitchik is right that it's not important what I said 25 years ago, but what do I say today? What do I hear in the mitzvot today? So we can find a new mitzvah to do all the time, a new Jewish book to read, a new tractate to tackle from the Talmud, to a new verse to read in a new light, a new prayer to look at with new lenses. And if on Rosh Hashanah we ask, who will live and who will die? On Yom Kippur we say it again. Maybe we should ask a different question each year. Maybe we should ask, who will attend a new service they never attended before? Who will go to Minyan more than they ever went before? And who will not? Who will come on Sukkot when before maybe the work schedule didn't allow for Sukkot. Now, who's going to come on Simchas Torah not only at night, but during the day as well? Because that's what we Jews do. Because you can always do something new. You can always refresh yourself. We have Women's Rosh Chodesh group with my wife. We have daily minions. The Dumont University has so many opportunities. And if you haven't done it, you can do something new. You can come with new ears and new glasses to these special events. Do something spiritual you haven't done before. Do something of chesed, of kindness. Join our chesed committee. Go out and help those who are shut-ins. Call someone who needs a hand on their shoulder. Shemi Shmuel, the Sachar Rabbi, quotes the Yehudi HaKadosh. It was a Hasidic Rabbi known as the holy Jew, Rabbi Yaakov Yitzchak Rabinovich. He said, every day I should say, yesterday I was a garnished. Yesterday I was nothing. Today, like Rabbi Soloveitchik says, what do I say today? Today is going to be much better than yesterday. Yesterday was nothing. You ain't seen nothing yet, we need to say to ourselves, need to say to God. The stale needs refreshing, and what is old needs renewal. Rabbeinu Yonah says that part of teshuvah, repentance, which is a constant obligation, is to do something new, to do a new mitzvah. The Rebbe of Slonim says it's a mitzvah to renew ourselves every day like a new person. It's a mitzvah. It's one of the hidden secrets of the Torah that we need to constantly renew ourselves. Every Friday night we recite beautiful songs that say, several of them say, Shiru Lashem Shir Chadash. Sing a new song to God. And that's the question. We know one day in the end of days, everything will be renewed. Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem Gabel. Everything will be renewed like the days of old, but it'll be new and fresh. And the question is, can we find that new song? Can we find the new song in our soul? Can we find the new song in the Torah itself? And if we can, we will have responded to that second secret of Judaism. The secret that says, do new, do something new. Renew yourself every single day. It can be done, and we can renew our relationship with God, with Judaism, with the Torah as well.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein. To learn more, visit asb.org.